Hey, what's up, Facebook? Good evening, episode 3.5 with PkUnMiked. Having some fun tonight. Don't have much planned. I do have a topic in store. Be a short one tonight, but I want to talk about the Children's Advocacy Center of Rockwall, Texas, guys. So I've been honored to be selected to be part of the Blue Tie Guys, the first group of Blue Tie Guys to represent the Rockwall Children's Advocacy Center. Um, and the cool thing is the leadership of this group has been is absolutely amazing. The guys selected in this group, and so just be part of that group is humbling. But our job is to raise awareness of just the children that are suffering in silence in Rockwall County, and this happens all over the world, right? Oftentimes in Rockwall, what's up, Crystal County? Um, we are blind sometimes, right? It doesn't happen in our neighborhoods. This stuff doesn't happen in my next door neighbor's house. This doesn't happen at my children's school. And the facts and the stats show that it does. And so what we are responsible for is setting up opportunities to go and educate the public in different businesses, in different areas. So if you have a group of friends, if you're part of a network of people, we would love to come talk to the group and educate you on how to be aware of the situations going around with our children so we can protect them and do our job as society to protect the ones who can't protect themselves. And so that's called the Blue Tie Guys. If you have questions about that, feel free to shoot me a message. Love to talk to you about that. So it's awesome. I was giving my wife a hard time because she was going to throw us away, and we're in the newspaper. I'm like, come on, I made the Rockwall Times, right? The Blue Ribbon News. We're in the Rockwall newspaper. And so, no, it's a great cause, guys. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. And so, this is episode 3.5 of PkUnMiked. We're just having some fun with this. Honestly, this started only because I felt being pushed to do this for some time, and I kept on using excuses. And honestly, the excuses came from fear, and then the fear caused me to think irrationally. And I can't do this. I don't have much to say. I don't know what to say. I'm going to say something because typically when I get fired up about something, I really don't care about hurting people's feelings. And I just want to speak the truth. One of my favorite scriptures is faithful are the wounds of the friend, deceitful are the kisses of the enemy. I think as society, we're so caught up making everyone feel good and win trophies and do all that we're not truly loving on them by telling them or speaking truth, right? And truth is can mean different things to different people. And it's not like speaking truth like judgmental or I have it all, because that's can fall very closely with pride, which is something else I struggle with. But like having a deep conversation with someone and saying, is that really the right way? Help me understand the thought process. But having those conversations instead of saying, oh yeah, great idea, when you know darn well that cheeseburger isn't going to help them lose 10 pounds that they need to lose, right? That's not love. The friends kissing their butt, oh, don't worry, you can start next month. You're not that big. You're healthy, when you know they have diabetes, they have cardiovascular diseases, and they need to get healthy, right? So faithful are the wounds of a friend, deceitful are the kisses of the enemy. And I typically take that way extreme too many oftentimes and put my mouth in places I shouldn't. But at the same time, it creates fun. In fact, there was a conversation with some roommates in college. I remember to this day. I don't know why. We were arguing about something just dumb. Well, I was arguing just to argue, and they made a comment like, "You're just arguing to argue," and I don't know why that story stands out, but it was so many years ago. Anyways, so God's done a lot of work on my life to help me pull back a little bit and have a little more empathy, which I lack, and a little more grace, which I lack, and cut back away my pride. And he often does that through my wife, which she does an amazing job dealing with all my rants. Um, so that's that. So PkUnMiked was something that just kind of, like I said, it's been on my mind, and I used all these excuses, and I used my fear to not rational, and then, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And so I said, you know what, screw it. I was doing some personal development, and they were talking about just start putting stuff out there, and you figure out your voice as you go. You don't need to have all the answers. And so here I am. Who knows what this does? And if you guys have certain topics or certain things you'd like me to talk about, feel free to shoot me a message. I love to talk about those. I plan on getting people that I respect in the community interviewing on different topics, from leadership. I really want to get into people I've been training with at 316 Jiu-Jitsu, because this it's a fun discipline to be learning, but like the lessons within the lessons have been always something that I'm getting the most out of it in the last 4 months. I keep on hearing my professor yell, "Don't tap under pressure. Don't tap under pressure." And I think so many times in life, like people check out the minute life gets hard, right? The minute something goes wrong, they're tapping and they're running the other way instead of sticking through it and maybe learning how to maneuver around the pressure to get out of it eventually and become a better player in this world because of it. And so continue working on yourself. So tonight what I'm going to talk about is this idea of short-term discomfort for long-term reward. And so where this came from is funny. I mean, it's funny how God works, right? There's no coincidences, and He puts everything in order the way He plans on doing it. And so yesterday, we picked up a new retainer for my son who's 8 years old. He broke his old one, and we had to go get a new one. And so he put it in, and because it was a brand new, it was tight around his teeth again. And he was like, "I don't want to put it in. I don't want to do this. Why can't I just leave it out?" And it came out, and I told him, "Hey, look, it's a short-term discomfort for a long-term reward." He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I know it's painful right now to put it in. It's not easy to put it in, but it's going to straighten your teeth out. It's going to do what the dentist needs it to do so you can smile and have confidence later on in life." And trying to explain to him, like, I know, just put it in and a long-term reward, right? It's easy for us as adults to see that now versus having him grow up to be older with jacked up teeth and the problems and things that could cause. So short-term discomfort for long-term reward. And so I mentioned this book, I think in the first episode that I'm going through, was given to me by a friend who's up in the Washington area doing some ministry stuff. It's called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. It's a day-by-day, 40-day journey, and it's been awesome. And so if you're looking for a good devotional, I recommend you go out there and check out this book. I can send you the details on that as well. But so I'm telling my son this. I'm thinking through like the short-term discomfort, and I'm in the health industry, so we help people live healthier and active. And a lot of times people can't change because it's hard to change, right? The discomfort of eating breakfast after not eating breakfast for so many years. It's a new habit. It's a new discipline. You're going to have to get uncomfortable. As easy as it is, you have to change your routine, which is never easy. And when you do that, right, you can start building off foundational blocks to live a healthier, active life. But that little tiny discomfort in people's lives often make them quit. Drinking more water, eating healthy snacks, educating yourself on that takes a little bit of work and a little bit discomfort because you have to drop bad habits, learn new habits, and then build the discipline. And within that building discipline, when people get uncomfortable, they want to quit. It's not for me. This doesn't work. I'm not going to go through it. And so then you look up and they've gone through 5 different diets in the last 3 years, and they're heavier than they were if they would have just started and built the discipline through the discomfort 5 years ago, right? We see that everywhere in life. The minute people start fighting and arguing, that must not be the spouse for me, because we're always fighting. We're not willing to go through counseling and get uncomfortable, or we're not willing to read the books, or we're not willing to sit down and talk through our situations and get uncomfortable through the discomfort for a long term of awesome marriage and learning how to work together, right? You name the situation. And so in this devotional, as I was reading, so that's what's going through my head, right? And then I read this morning, devotional says, "Endure hardships as discipline. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it." Man, we're in 2020. And I mentioned again a couple episodes ago that 2020 really hasn't been that hard for us. We've been blessed. We've been lucky. You name it. It just hasn't been. It could have been the way we see things. I think that has more to do with the way I feel about 2020 than things not happening. Because I went back through some of my journals in January, February, and March before the pandemic, and there were some things I was praying for that were like extremely difficult. And then I went through some other things, and during the pandemic, I've been through some things extremely painful, extremely difficult, extremely where you're thinking, is this ever going to end? And a lot of times when you're in those moments of discomfort, that's where Satan wants you. He wants you in those moments of discomfort because those are opportunities he can start throwing lies at you. He can start making you run. He can start making you fearful. And once he starts doing that, he can start isolating you. And once he starts isolating you, that's when he gives you the moment to run away from who you're really called to be, right? The minute you stop fighting that discomfort and stop learning and stop growing through that and just quit, you stop the growth opportunity that's within you and who you become. Like, what if whatever you're going through right now, God has this plan to get you so uncomfortable that you're broken down, that you have to die to yourself to only lean on him so he can pick you up. Like, you think about the disciples. He picked some of the people who, Peter, who couldn't catch any fish, right? He had empty nets, and he went out to him, right? And he says, I'm going to give up my trade that I known for my life to follow this man and trust him with everything I had. And then Peter had a lot of stumbling along the way to become the disciple and the minister that he became, where God trusted him to write books for the Bible. Now, I'm not saying what your story is, but I'm saying, are you willing to go through the discomfort of whatever it is in your life and work through it and grow through it to become the person you want? Are you constantly finding yourself when discomfort happens to stop, hide, run, and say, you know what, this isn't for me? I don't know. But that hit home this week, just talking to my son and the small little things of a retainer, the small discomfort of putting it back into his mouth. So the long-term reward, he doesn't have crooked teeth. And then I read that devotional this morning, that the pain of discipline, right, can create great opportunity within you for a long-term reward. And so that is the short little episode tonight. Guys, like I said, if you have topics that you want us to cover on this, people you want to interview, I love leadership. I love talking to people who are doing great things. If you have questions about your health journey, right? Because I think what I love about what we do is how you do anything is how you do everything. And health is just a huge aspect of your life that I think plays out in so many different areas, right? Josh, I've had this habit of not eating breakfast all my life, so I can't start eating breakfast now. And the question I love to ask is, well, why not? And what other areas in your life have you known that you need to start doing that you haven't started doing yet? And what if you started doing that? What would that unlock within you to start becoming the person you're designed to be? So there is PkUnMiked 3.5. Hope you guys have a great night. Check out the Instagram account. A lot of great things going on there. And I will see you guys later. Lynn, what's up, man? Thanks for jumping on. Stud. Go check out Lynn Mousen's profile on Facebook. He's a good man doing some cool things. Hey, you guys have a great night.